And good evening. Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Iran striking back at Israel. A third massive wave of strikes in just the last hour after Israel's devastating strikes on its nuclear facilities overnight. You're looking live images tonight. These are live images out of Tel Aviv after waves of missile attacks from Iran. The new video showing Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system lighting up the skies over Tel Aviv as it works to intercept hundreds of ballistic missiles fired from Iran. Many have been shot down, but not all. These images capturing some of those missiles slamming into the capital city and/or debris. 3 U.S. officials confirming to NBC News American forces are now helping Israel shoot down those missiles. The video taken from a balcony, this one right here, showing smoke billowing from the ground right after the strikes happened. From the ground, the damage even more stark. Take a look at this, a gaping hole left in the building and a fire burning inside. The massive air attack on Israel by Iran launched hundreds of miles and 2 whole countries away, a violent escalation in an already volatile, war-torn region. The aerial assault coming after Israel launched massive preemptive strikes overnight, hitting several of Iran's nuclear facilities and taking out multiple top military leaders, more than 200 targets. Tonight, President Trump telling NBC News he was pleased with the Israeli attack as the U.S. markets reacted to the conflict. The Dow down 700 points and oil prices skyrocketing. We have team coverage tonight from the region. Keir Simmons is in Dubai on what comes next after tonight's attacks, and Matt Bradley on the ground for us in Tel Aviv, live in a bunker. That's where we want to start the broadcast tonight, on Israel on the defensive as the missiles rain down.
Tonight, waves of Iranian missiles targeting Israel. You can see Israeli air defenders take out most of them in the night sky, but some landing. Whoa. This impact in Tel Aviv. Smoke rising in the city's center. Earlier, Israeli officials texted warnings to take cover.
What we are hearing right now is what it's called an extreme alert. We are being told to move now to a secure place. So we just got down to the safe room here in our office building. We've been hearing outgoing missile defense and incoming explosions from those Iranian rockets, most of them interceptions.
The U.S. is helping Israel shoot down Iranian missiles, according to 3 U.S. officials. The Pentagon moved a number of military assets, including Navy destroyers, to the region in recent days to defend Israel, according to another U.S. official. Well, tonight, Israel says the Iranian regime crossed a red line and will pay a heavy price for firing into civilian population centers. The Iranian retaliation coming just hours after Israel's surprise strikes on nuclear sites and military leadership inside Iran. Smoke rising above Natanz, an Iranian nuclear facility. Israel saying the operation, dubbed Rising Lion, killed Iranian nuclear scientists and generals, including Hossein Salami, commander of the Revolutionary Guard. Israel saying Iran's nuclear program posed a clear and present danger, and Iran had enough enriched uranium to build 15 nuclear bombs.
I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons.
According to multiple Israeli outlets citing an anonymous source, the Mossad spy agency smuggled missiles into Iran months ago and also secretly installed explosive drones inside Iran for this operation. Meanwhile, President Trump tonight meeting with his national security officials. In a phone interview with NBC's Garrett Haake, the president saying he was pleased with the Israeli strikes against Iran, that Israel had the finest equipment in the world, which is American equipment, and that the Iranian government missed the opportunity to make a deal. Now, they may have another opportunity. We'll see. The U.S. has recently been negotiating with Iran over its nuclear program. The U.S. considers Iran a state sponsor of terrorism, and President Trump has repeatedly said he will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
They can't have a nuclear weapon. I'd prefer the more friendly path.
Both Iran and Israel tonight saying more strikes are coming. The U.S. warning Iran not to target U.S. troops in the region.
Matt Bradley joins us tonight from Tel Aviv. Matt, our viewers have been watching you all day, back and forth from the bomb shelter, back outside tonight now in Tel Aviv. Walk our viewers through what's happened over the last hour.
Yeah, it's been a chaotic last couple of hours, and just in the last hour, Tom, we heard yet a third air raid siren. Yet again, we ran down to that bomb shelter, and now we're hearing some of the latest casualty figures from this dramatic and catastrophic day for both Iran and Israel. 34 people injured, one of them critically.
And then, Matt, before you go, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with a message tonight, and not for the people of Israel, but rather the people of Iran.
That's right. He reached directly out, spoke to the people of Iran, saying, "We do not hate you, and that your liberation from this tyranny is closer than ever." It seems like the Israeli Prime Minister is calling on the Iranian people to take up the fight against the Iranian regime. Tom?
For more on the latest escalation, Matt, we thank you. I want to bring in NBC's Keir Simmons, who is following the developments from Dubai. So, Keir, the questions after last night's strikes on Iran was what capacity would they have to retaliate? Today, we're getting the answer in real time.
Yeah.
Do we have more insight into how much longer this may play out?
I think this is going to play out over a number of days, possibly weeks, Tom. I think a signal of that is what Matt was talking about there, which is the indications from the leadership in Israel that they are looking for regime change in Iran. In terms of those strikes by Iran on Israel, I think it's nighttime here in the region. I think when day comes, we will see damage and impacts. But I think we'll also be asking ourselves the question, has Iran pulled its punches? Has it held back? Or is this all it's got? And is Israel now free to continue its attacks and try to achieve that aim? If regime change is its aim, it is an extraordinary, historic thing to try to do, and very, very difficult.
Yeah, this latest round of missile attacks was mostly stopped by Israel's Iron Dome, but there was still some damage done, right? Whether it be debris or maybe one or two of these missiles getting through. Israel's prepared, right? But there's only so much preparation you can do, especially if you get overwhelmed with a certain amount of missiles and or drones.
Yeah, but listen, you know, Tom, Israel will be making a calculation, honestly, in their terms. It will be saying to itself, it will be saying, OK, what we're concerned with here is that Iran might have a nuclear missile. And Iran has openly said that it is opposed to the existence of Israel. So how do we feel about that compared with the potential retaliation that we're seeing and weighing up those two prospects? Another point here, Tom, I mean, this was an intelligence-led operation, clearly, much like the pager bomb attack on Hezbollah that we saw by Israel. An example of that, it looks like Mossad intelligence identified that there was going to be a meeting of Iranian commanders and attacked that meeting, those commanders, considering an attack on Israel before this offensive could begin. So it's definitely a victory for Israel, if only just the beginning.
Okay. Keir, we thank you for that. I want to bring in Mike Allen now. He's the former special assistant to the president and the former National Security Council director. Mike, thanks for joining Top Story tonight. Good to see you again. I do want to start with the big question, which is what is next, right? How much does this get escalated? What is your opinion on that?
Well, I think there's a significant chance that the Iranians will continue to rain ballistic missiles toward Israel, and we're in a race, really. How many can the United States and Israel, with their missile defense systems, intercept these incoming ballistic missiles? And how many of these ballistic missile launchers can Israel take out within Iran? Until Iran has a total, until Israel has these under control, I think it's going to be some time before you see a decrease in some of the tensions between the two states.
And then the U.S. is now helping Israel obviously defend itself against these attacks with the air defense system. What does that coordination sort of look like in real time? And how does the president say, listen, we're not going to get involved in this war, though America very much is involved in one aspect?
I think the way this goes is that there's a significant amount of de-coordination and deconfliction that goes on between Israel and the United States and the ships that are in the Mediterranean Sea. We're able, if we have a good shot at one of the incoming missiles, we'll take it. If it's better that it goes by an Israeli system, all the better. So I think that's the coordination, the deconfliction, maybe artificial intelligence is involved here. And I think that is the system going forward. I think it's fine if the United States is in these particular activities because they're more defensive in nature. I don't think President Trump has any intention to get into an offensive skirmish with Iran in the coming days, however.
Yeah, and finally, does Iran have any bargaining chips at this point, right? They suffered huge losses in their chain of command right now. They're having massive economic problems. Their negotiating chip, I guess, is threatening to make a bomb. But how does Iran get leverage?
I think for now, they are really on their back foot. They have to be able to try and protect what they have left. Israel, this has been a long time coming, and Israel has not even halfway down its to-do list in terms of military and nuclear sites that they need to strike. Look for Fordow, the embedded centrifuge facility in a mountain, to be where the big news comes over the weekend. Israel needs to strike it dozens of times in order to have a successful raid. And so I think that's going to be a big line of effort in coming days, and I don't know that Iran has any way to stop it.
Mike Allen, we always appreciate your analysis here on Top Story. We thank you tonight. Staying overseas, the only person who survived that horrific plane crash in India is telling his story in his first English interview, what he saw and what he remembers about walking out alive. Here's Tom Costello.
Staying in India.
In the hospital in Ahmedabad, the lone survivor who walked away from Thursday's Air India disaster tells Indian TV he has no idea why he's the only one of 242 who got out alive.
Emergency door is broken. My seat is broken. I'm not jumping. I just walk out, innit? I can't explain. It's medical, everything.
Vishwash Kumar Ramesh said he was in window seat 11A, right next to the broken exit door, yet managed to climb through. But everyone else died, including a British radiologist and his family who took this selfie. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner crashed into the local medical school's residence hall, killing roughly 30 on the ground.
All of us at Air India are devastated by this loss and grieve for those affected.
Already, Indian investigators say they've recovered critical evidence, a DVR with recordings from onboard cameras which may have captured the pilot's actions on the flight deck, and the plane's black box, the cockpit voice and flight data recorders. Former FAA and NTSB investigator Jeff Guzzetti. The flight data recorder will record what in particular that we want to know?
The flight data recorder will record hundreds of parameters, one sample every second, on the position of the flaps, the slats, the ailerons, the engine thrust levers, the temperature, the altitude.
Indian authorities have ordered Air India to inspect all of its 787s with GE engines, standard after most aviation incidents.
Tom Costello joins us now. Tom, you mentioned that video recorder on the plane that was found in the debris. Walk our viewers through what they can sort of pull from that and why it might be new to viewers in America.
Yeah, so Boeing offers a camera system inside the 787. It's in the cockpit, if you want it, the galley, the cabin, which may let investigators, and there it is, that's the DVR. It may let investigators see the flight control settings in the cockpit and whether a pilot made a mistake. So a lot of foreign airlines are using these camera systems. U.S. airlines do not have cameras on board because the pilots union oppose constant camera surveillance. They cite privacy issues, although the NTSB, Tom, for a long time has urged these camera systems to go on board planes.
It'll be interesting to see what that recorded, if anything, of this disaster. Yeah. Okay, Tom, we thank you for all your reporting tonight. Now to the other major breaking news we're following out of L.A., of course, the immigration showdown there. And the first new images of Marines deployed on the ground in that city, helping to protect federal buildings and ICE agents. NBC's Liz Kreutz is on the ground with that report.
Tonight, active duty U.S. Marines officially in L.A. with a mission to protect federal property and ICE agents. Seen here detaining a man who the military tells us was trying to walk through a checkpoint at the Wilshire Federal Building, amid ongoing legal whiplash over California's National Guard, deployed by President Trump in response to violence at protests against ICE immigration raids. Overnight, a federal judge writing the Trump administration's actions were illegal and that the protests in Los Angeles fall far short of rebellion, ordering control of the troops be returned to California Governor Gavin Newsom.
He is not a monarch, he is not a king, and he should stop acting like one.
But then a win for the Trump administration when an appeals court paused the ruling for now. The president praising the decision, writing, without the deployment, the city would be burning. We saved L.A. Meanwhile, protests here now stretching for a week with a nighttime curfew still in place in downtown.
Marines have just been spotted at the other federal building. What is your take? There's no reason for them to be here. The Marines being out here is laughable. The fact that they're out here for this, it's again been very peaceful on our end.
DHS saying protests have not stopped ICE immigration enforcement raids, saying agents are targeting people here illegally who have criminal records.
We've seen under this last week some operations that have been working to bring in criminals that have been out on our streets for far too long.
This video showing ICE agents raiding a home in Huntington Park. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem there with agents yesterday. The man they were looking for not home. His wife saying he's undocumented and served prison time for a violent offense, though she wouldn't give details.
Throughout the whole process, they have to see me naked, you know. I'm getting changed. I feel humiliated. I'm pregnant. I'm scared. I'm shaking.
Meanwhile, in New Jersey, a manhunt tonight for 4 detainees who escaped from an immigrant detention center in Newark. DHS saying the men were here illegally from Colombia and Honduras. All have criminal records, including arrests for aggravated assault, burglary, and making terror threats. Local officials say the men broke through a dormitory wall in the facility.
All right, Liz Kreutz joins us tonight from downtown L.A. So, Liz, we want to go back to that deployment of the Marines. Walk our viewers through what exactly they're doing in L.A. tonight.
Yeah, so Tom, I think it's really important to point out that they are not in downtown LA right now. They have not been deployed to the areas where the protesters are gathered. They're not at the federal building downtown here where the protests have been centered. They right now are at one federal building about 11 miles away from here. It's a calm building. What they're doing there is protecting that property. We are told that the Marines are allowed to temporarily detain individuals before then handing them over to civilian law enforcement. And we will say, as this protest here grows on a Friday night, the state, the city, they are bracing for more protests through the weekend. And Governor Gavin Newsom has said that he is now giving support, security, and safety support to local law enforcement in anticipation of that, Tom.
Okay, Liz Kreutz for us. Liz, we thank you. Meanwhile, in Washington, preparations are taking place for President Trump's military parade set for tomorrow evening. The event to honor the Army's 250th anniversary is facing some questions over its use of resources, messaging, and the cost. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell has that.
In the shadow of the Washington Monument, soldiers preparing, not for war, but for celebration. Tanks on the streets of the capital city. Helicopters outfitted for battle, but merely on display.
This is, the heart and soul of the Army.
And this is President Trump's long-desired showcase of American might.
We're coming together to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a grand parade, a military parade.
7,000 soldiers, 150 Army vehicles, and more than 60 aircraft, expected to draw thousands of visitors and the potential for protests.
Barriers are a big part of protection here, from concrete bollards to anti-scale fencing. 18.5 miles of this is going up around key parts of the city.
The spectacle is also a source of controversy. The cost, up to $45 million. Lawmakers of both parties bristled.
I'm most disturbed by the extravagance.
Everybody else in the jungle knows, and we're aligned. I would save the money.
The optics at issue, too, for an American democracy. Military pageantry like this, typically seen in places like North Korea and Russia.
I'm worried about the image, that it isn't necessarily the best image to show.
A show of force in a peacetime setting, generating a very American sense of skepticism and celebration.
Kelly O'Donnell joins us tonight from the White House. Kelly, 2 questions for you. First, what happens with the weather? We are tracking some bad weather in the area. And then also, we know there's a lot of protests happening all over the country, not only D.C.
Well, weather really is a concern, and it is not about the tanks or the soldiers who can certainly perform their duties in any conditions, but they are concerned about thunderstorms for the public that will be here. At this point, the parade is going on as planned. They'll do another assessment tomorrow, Tom, to see if they can, in fact, do the fireworks and the flyover that are also a part of these festivities. So weather always finds a way to have its impact on these events, but they expect thousands of people. And that gets to your other question about protests. There There are organized protests under the banner of No Kings. It's a national movement. They'll be here as well. But because this is a national special security event, it has the highest level of planning and security. The Secret Service is overall in charge of security. There are so many barriers that will limit where protesters can go and where they can get together. But it's a real concern, and obviously it's a part of our democracy. People can protest, and they hope they will do so peacefully. So they're prepared for it. They're expecting it. We'll see what plays out.
Okay,
Tom?
Kelly O for us tonight. Kelly, we thank you for that. Now to the latest in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. The disgraced rapper formerly known as Kanye West making a surprise courthouse appearance. Ye telling reporters he was there to show his support for Combs. And late today, the judge considering removing one of the jurors for giving conflicting answers about where he lives. NBC's Chloe Malas has the latest from outside the courthouse.
Hey there, a bit of a circus today at the courthouse for Sean Combs' criminal trial. That's because Kanye West showed up. He rolled up in a black Maybach. He got out of the car by himself wearing an all-white outfit and made his way to the security entrance of the courthouse here behind me. And he was greeted by one of Diddy's sons, Christian Combs. They embraced and they walked in. And what NBC News has learned is that Kanye did not go into the actual courtroom. He was taken to the 23rd floor to something called an overflow room. This is where extra media, members of the public, where they sit, but he was in there by himself. He was there for about less than a half hour, and then he left. Unclear if he left because it was about lunchtime. We know he went to have lunch with some of Combs' family. I spoke to one of Diddy's longtime friends, Luch, who has been inside the courtroom every single day, and he said Kanye isn't here to testify or be part of the case. He's simply here to show support for Diddy because they've been friends for a really long time. But we know that Kanye, he's had his own set of controversies over the last couple of years. I also want to talk about something else that's going on right now, and that is drama around one of the jurors, juror number 6. There's some potential issues with his residency, that he was living in one part of New York and then he may have moved to New Jersey. So at one point the judge was leaning towards striking him, removing him, and replacing this individual with one of the alternates. Now that's why you have 6 alternates. That's why you have extra jurors just in case something happens. But as of right now, the judge, after listening to several of Combs' defense teams argue against this decision, he's reserving his decision until Monday. Now, prosecution, they still have a couple witnesses left, but we think that they could rest their case as early as Wednesday and then turn it over to Diddy's team to put on their case. Back to you.
Okay, Chloe Malas outside the courthouse once again. We're back in 60 seconds with bizarre new video of former NFL star Antonio Brown wanted in this country for attempted murder, but posting this social media video claiming to be in Dubai. What led to the current charges and where the manhunt stands now? And the Karen Reed murder case now officially in the hands of a jury. The dramatic closing arguments in court today. And the death toll rising after heavy storms and flooding in San Antonio. The latest on the search and rescue operation still ongoing. Stay with Top Story. It's Top Story moment and this priceless reaction from a police officer in Florida. Important context here first. He's originally from New York and is new to the Sunshine State. Take a look.
Slowly. Listen. Mr. Gator. Don't hurt me.
Hold on.
Ah! Oh, God. Oh, my God. Why?
All right, give him back if you want to.
All right, take it. Ah! Oh, God.
They ain't got gators in New York. The Largo Police Department posting that video saying Officer Christopher Martinez has now received his official welcome to Florida. He's going to see a lot of things crazier than that in Florida. Stay with us. We're just back in a moment. Okay, we are back now with Top Stories newsfeed. We start with the death toll from the deadly flooding in San Antonio rising tonight. You'll remember we told you about this just last night. 11 people now killed after flash floods overwhelmed the region. Search efforts are focusing on the Salado Creek and the Leon Creek, where 15 vehicles were swept away early yesterday morning. The San Antonio Fire Department saying several others remain unaccounted for. We'll stay on top of that one. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland resident who was mistakenly deported to a prison in El Salvador, he's back in a U.S. courtroom. Abrego Garcia pleading not guilty to human smuggling charges at an arraignment in Tennessee. He was brought back to the U.S. last week to face criminal charges after multiple judges ordered his return. Abrego Garcia's attorney saying the smuggling case is a desperate attempt by the Trump administration to justify the deportation, which was initially described as a, quote, administrative error. And New York prosecutors charging a man with making homemade bombs after he allegedly threw 3 of the devices off the Williamsburg Bridge. The FBI arrested Michael Gann last Friday after they caught him carrying the explosive devices, saying he built them with the help of AI. Law enforcement saying they do not believe this was part of an organized threat. And an incredible story out of Louisville, Kentucky, where a truck driver narrowly escaped his semi after it burst into flames before plummeting off an overpass. Take a look at this video. The fiery wreck dangling there from that overpass near downtown, then collapsing onto 2 ramps below. Officials say the driver somehow jumped out of the semi just moments before that, miraculously walking away with just minor leg injuries, but otherwise he is okay. That is incredible. And a senior prank day in New Jersey gone wrong, forcing the police to be called in. Videos showing South River High School hallways and basketball courts completely trashed. The principal's office covered in toilet paper. School officials saying the prank forced them to cancel classes. It's not clear if students will face any consequences for the prank. Okay, now to Karen Reed's closely watched murder trial. During closing arguments today, prosecutors said she killed her boyfriend when she hit him with her car, while the defense said there was no collision. Emily Aketa reports from the courthouse.
Karen, how are you feeling?
I feel good. Karen Reed's fate is officially in the hands of the jury, now for a second time.
Love you.
Deliberating whether she's guilty of hitting her police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe with her car and taking off after last year's trial ended in a hung jury.
She was drunk, she hit him, and she left him to die.
In closing arguments today, the prosecution using Reed's own words against her.
I mean, I didn't think I hit him, but could I have clipped him?
And pointing to data from Reed's SUV and O'Keefe's phone tracking their movements that night.
She takes that 6,000-pound Lexus and she makes a decision. And the decision is that she steps on the gas after banging it into reverse.
But Reed's defense, which has amassed a sea of supporters in pink outside the courthouse, insists
there was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision.
They say O'Keefe's injuries don't reflect a car crash.
Just look at John's arm. These are dog bites and scratches. These are animal wounds.
The defense alleges the police investigation was corrupt.
What evidence was there for the investigators to look into? What did they ignore?
Far too many unanswered questions, the defense says, for a guilty verdict.
We've done everything we can.
And this is the slip the jury will fill out if they reach a verdict, which includes the top charge of second-degree murder. The jury of 7 women and 5 men will resume deliberating on Monday. Tom?
Okay, Emily, we thank you. New details are emerging in the Idaho College murder case. For the first time, the friends who discovered the victims inside an off-campus house speaking out for the first time in a new docuseries, recounting that horrific 2022 day when suspect Brian Kohberger is alleged to have stabbed 4 students. NBC's Stephen Romo has this one.
Why these 4 kids?
For the first time, the students who discovered the grisly University of Idaho murder scene are speaking out.
There's a big realization that we had been stalked for so many months.
Describing the morning, students Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Goncalves, and Maddie Mogan were found stabbed to death in their off-campus home.
As soon as I stepped in the house, I was like, oh, something is so not right.
Friends Josie Louterin and Emily Allant and her boyfriend Hunter Johnson were the first on the scene. In Prime Video's upcoming docuseries One Night in Idaho, The College Murders, revealing that one of the surviving roommates, Dylan, called saying she was scared and asking them to come over.
When Dylan had called, I didn't think it was urgent. When we got there, Dylan and Bethany had exited the house. They frightened, just kind of like, just hands on their mouth, like, I don't know what's going on type thing.
I set foot in the house and immediately Hunter was like, get out, somebody call 911.
Johnson was the first to realize they were in a crime scene. You can hear him on the 911 call, ushering everyone outside.
When we were interviewing them,
it was quite a raw emotional experience for them to relive sort of second by second how that day played out and how the weeks played out afterwards.
6 weeks after the November 2022 killings, graduate student Brian Koberger was arrested and charged with the murders. A not guilty plea has been entered on his behalf, with his trial set to begin in early August.
There's this person out there who had just murdered our brother, and he's still out there somewhere.
The new series also features exclusive interviews with the parents of Chapin and Mogan.
This can't be true. I mean, this is Idaho.
Can we expect to get any insights from those survivors as to why this happened?
We certainly have a strong theory of why this happened. We're expecting that other aspects might come out in the trial, but we dug pretty deep on this one.
Okay, Stephen Romo joins us now live. Stephen, a lot of people are going to be wondering, the trial is set for this summer. Will it happen in August?
Yeah, that is the question. It's already been pushed back a couple times already. Koberger's attorneys have asked that it be delayed yet again. They're saying for the publicity that's been involved here, and they specifically mentioned Dateline NBC coverage, saying that they need more time to prepare now. There's a hearing coming up on June 18th. We'll see if they will agree to push that back, but there's going to be even more publicity now with this series that's set to come out.
Yeah.
A lot of people are already talking about this.
And to talk about the series, just a reminder, it's on Prime Video. Is it already out or is it about to come out?
It's coming out July 11th. It'll be out, and a lot of people looking forward to that one.
Okay, Steve, we thank you for that. Okay, we want to return now to our top-breaking story tonight. Iranian missiles hitting several sites in Tel Aviv. The strikes coming in response to Israel's wave of attacks on Iran's nuclear sites, taking out top military leaders and nuclear scientists. For the latest on this and what it means for the U.S., I want to bring in NBC Chief International Correspondent Richard Engel.
Well, it was very obvious that Israel has vast military superiority. The Israeli strikes were all over the country. And if you look at the spread of the some 200 targets that were hit, it's clear that the Israeli jets, dozens of Israeli jets, were able to fly more or less wherever they wanted to go and hit whatever they liked. Very different for Iran. Iran fired ballistic missiles, about 100 of them, primarily at two cities. Cities are relatively easy to hit. They're concentrated. They're civilian centers, Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, hoping that some of the ballistic missiles would make it through the net, and very few of them did. And most of the damage was caused by falling debris as the ballistic missiles were broken apart by Israeli air defenses.
Richard Engel for us. Richard, we thank you for that. We want to stay overseas now with Top Stories Global Watch, a check of what else is happening around the world. Kenyan police officers facing charges into connection to the death of a political blogger who died in police custody. Videos showing protesters in Nairobi lighting cars on fire and police spraying tear gas into crowds. The unrest sparked by a charge against that blogger the protesters say is bogus, that he had defamed the country's police chief. And Pope Leo announcing the canonization of the first millennial saint is planned for this fall. Pope Leo sharing the news during a meeting with cardinals after the original date was suspended following Pope Francis's death. Carlos Acutis was 15 years old when he died from leukemia in 2006. Acutis is also known to many as God's influencer, sharing his faith on websites he built. Tens of thousands of people could come to Rome for his sainthood. And British soccer legend David Beckham is officially adding a new title to his name. He'll be formally known as Sir David Beckham after receiving knighthood from King Charles. The soccer icon earning this award for his services to sports and charity. Beckham played for Manchester United as well as multiple elite teams in Europe, becoming the first English player to win major titles across 4 countries. And with this Father's Day around the corner, we went out in New York City and asked what it means to be a dad.
As we get ready to celebrate Father's Day and take a moment to honor and remember our dads this weekend, we wanted to ask you, why is your dad so special? And what does it take to be a father?
I'm Brittany from Indiana, and my dad has always been my biggest fan in life. He has always told me to dream big and everything will fall into place as it needs to.
My name is Gracie, and what it means to be a dad is looking out for your children and supporting them and being their best friend.
My name is Yunus Ayas. It's just being there as a father, just being her closest friend. I think that would be one of the best way to show my love.
My name is Irving Knott from Detroit, Michigan. Being a father means being a protector, being a provider, really trying to give guidance and instruction to your kids.
My name is Chris. My son's name is Caleb. He was born this past Tuesday at Northwestern Medicine Palos Hospital. We've been trying to have a baby for 8 years. She took the test and our miracle baby came. The best advice: to basically love everybody, respect, work hard at everything he does. Father's Day means that I get to basically take the knowledge that my dad gave me and give to my son.
I'm going to be calling you, buddy.
And a very happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, including Big Lou down in Miami. When we come back, a look at what you can binge watch and listen to this weekend. It is Friday. A new crime comedy starring Orlando Bloom as improv actors take on crime in London. And could Kane Brown's new single be the song of the summer? Some are saying that. Maybe. Stay with us. We grew up in We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.